really excited today. We have a really amazing guest that I've had tremendous respect for over the years. Preston Smiles, welcome to the Resilient Minds podcast, brother. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here. I'm grateful to see you, brother.
Man, thank you. Likewise. And just shout out to you and what it's taken for you to be in the position to hold something like this. A lot of people just consume, but they don't understand all the small details in the back end and the resilience of reaching out and getting the right people and like all the stuff that goes into making something this special. So congratulations as well. And thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you, my brother. It really means a lot coming from you. For those that don't know, I just want to really just share a little bit about you, brother. Preston Smiles, this gentleman of a man, his mission is really simple: to empower, inspire, and amplify multi-generational movements of radical love through this creative, conscious content that he delivers. And I wouldn't even say it's content, it's just who he's being. And it's not just who he's being, but it is who you're being. And this intentional act of being the best father, husband, and transformational leader, as a byproduct of just honing in into your heart's wisdom, your heart's intention, your heart's intelligence. Uh, like you, I really believe, we're here to leave this world behind better than we found it, the highest state of integrity. And you're committed to inspiring others, joining you on that mission, which is fundamentally being in this present moment of the now. So thank you, brother, for this gift. And I want to share with you openly, 5 years ago when I was at Tony Robbins' event in Cairns in Australia, uh, I remember observing you and your wife from a distance, and this honing in. You were coming, I believe, at that time to Australia, and I didn't end up having the pleasure of going. However, I remember paying attention to the presence that you and your wife have cultivated with each other, and remember saying, man, like that's such a beautiful resonating energy. It's such a beautiful resonating force for good. And it's also something that I remember saying to myself, man, I want to really let go of those stories of societal conditioning and step into a really more meaningful approach in the way that we get to show up as men, in the healthy way, in the healthy support. And so I just honor the fact, because I remember watching even just yesterday you with like all these kids, your friends in the hotel room, like watching, and like just this presence of grace, man. And thank you for this, because this is the mirror and the role modeling that I believe even more of us men need, and even more of us get to step into alongside each other, because then
Yes.
there's no competition, there's no ego, there's no pride, there's just purpose and spirit coming towards a common good, moving towards the right, and more integrous values. So, brother, you're a legend, and I appreciate you. I really do. Honor your presence, and I'm excited to go deeper so people know more about why this is so meaningful. Because on the Resilient Minds podcast, which is not too long after I got to pay attention to what you and your lovely wife have been doing, I started this show of why we're experiencing of life, and what is our taking from these experiences to create the people that we are today. And so I'd love for people to feel the depth of your awareness and your knowledge, to discovering that path, and what was the pivotal moment for bringing you to that nature, and then attracting all this amazing abundance, which is your amazing family, to life. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh man, that's a big question. I've had so many of them. And if you're really in the dance, you'll have many of them, right? I'll say this. Um, I had a moment when I was 15 where I heard a voice essentially say, don't go. Don't go with your friends. Don't get in that car. I didn't know. The voice didn't say something bad's going to happen. It just said, don't go. And I didn't. I said no. And everybody in that car was shot. And my best friend, who I was on the phone with, was shot in the head and died. So that was like the first time I really was like, whoa, why did I say no? Like, what? Because I had said yes the day before and the day before and the day before, but something in that moment said don't, and I didn't. So that was 15. It happened again when I met my wife. I had this moment where I was calling in the one, and I was 32 going on 33, and I just moved back in with my mom, and I felt this like knowing that I was going to meet my person soon. And I set up this date with this girl named Eva, who, shout out to Eva. She has her own kids and her husband and all the things. So it's a happy ending. I set up this blind date with this girl named Eva. Eva gets to my house. She knocks on the door, and I instantly know it's not her. I'm like, that's not it. And I invite her upstairs. I go in my room and I ask Spirit, am I supposed to go on this date? And the voice comes back, yes. Like loud, clear, fast, right in my face. And I start questioning it. I'm like, are you sure? Because like, that's not it. And I'm calling in it. And the voice says, yes. So I'm like, okay, all right. I'm going to listen because I've listened and this has saved me so many times. So we get in the car. We're driving to the show. We get there and they say, oh, we're so sorry. We oversold the show. We can give you your money back, or you can stand on the wall. And granted, on the drive there, every red light I could stop at, just skirt, skirt, skirt. So we were late, and it was like something was turning all the lights red, right? Because it had to be perfect timing. And so I look at my date, and she says, yeah, let's go in. We'll just stand on the wall. So we walk in, and the guy says, all right, you guys are going to stand here. It's already packed. There's 20 people standing on the wall. And he sort of brings us closer to the front, but he says, you guys are going to stand on this side. And then he takes a couple steps, and as if something hit him, he turns around and he says, actually, you two. I'm going to add 2 more chairs to the front row. Come with me. This is a fire hazard, but I'm going to do it. So he sits us down, and here's a little bit of backstory. 2 weeks prior to this exact moment, I got a message from a friend. So imagine one of your best friends, your boys, messages you, and he says, hey, bro, I'm in London with my friend's girl. He missed his flight. He missed his flight. So I'm hanging with her. She's like the female version of you. You guys should work together. This is what I get a message a couple weeks before that. So I'm like, wow, she's beautiful. Click, click. I'm like, I'm calling in the one. She's dating my friend's friend. She's in London. So this isn't it. So I message her and I say, hey, my name's Preston. Nice to meet you. Heard you do work in Africa. We should connect sometime. She writes me back. I write her back. I say, hey, hit me up if you're ever in LA. She ghosts me. Nothing. Right. So now fast forward weeks down the line. He puts this chair down right here. He puts one next to my date. I look at the stage. I look at the date. And next to her is my wife. And I literally instantly knew it. I instantly knew it. It was like explosions. And I was like, hello, Alexi? And she was like, Preston? And I'm like, what are you doing here? I thought you lived in London. She was like, no, I was visiting London. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Well, it is very nice to meet you. And I just started getting super weird. And I was like, oh, this is my wife. How do I tell her she's my wife? How do I explain to a person who doesn't care about me at all that she's going to marry me? How do I explain that? Right. And so the whole show, I'm just flashing through all the women I've dated, all the things I've been through to be in this moment where I'm like, that's her. I know it. And the voice was like, yes, that's her. And I'm like, oh my God. So long story short, the thing ends and I awkwardly hug her and we have this moment and I say, let's meet up sometime. And she's like, cool. So she put it for a week later in her calendar as a 45-minute business meeting. And maybe 10 minutes into it, she realized that we were going to have something. And she, yeah, we haven't been apart since then. Like that was 11 years ago. And one more story just to add, help you understand how crazy this is. And I'm caveating every single part of this with reminding everybody listening that the same thing is occurring for you all the time. The work is to get out of the way. I am attuned to the voice. I am receptive and open for spirit to use me. I say yes. And therefore, the voice is louder and clearer. We clean out the muck. Mother Teresa said, if everybody cleaned their doorstep, the whole world would be clean. Jesus said, as I am lifted up in consciousness, I draw all unto me, right? As I am lifted up, I draw all unto me. The lifted up part is how clean and receptive are you to the sacred dance that's occurring at all times. So here's the last story. Alexi and I get together. We're this is 2015 now. We met in 2013. 2015, she says, my friends are getting married in New York. Let's go together. So we go to New York. I decide I'm going to meet up with this other friend because we were there a couple days earlier. I meet up with a friend. We sit down at a cafe and the voice says, get up and go. And I was like, bro, are you kidding me? I just sat here, right? But granted, I've met my wife. My life's been saved. There's a lot that's occurred. So I'm like, okay. So I sit down. I say to my friend, hey, bro, I can't explain this, but I'm supposed to go and I'm supposed to go find some boots on the other side of town. And he says, but we just got here. Like, what are you talking about? He was almost mad, right? And I said, I know, I'm so sorry, but I have to honor this. So we shake it up, dap each other down. I run to the train station. As soon as I'm coming down the train, my train is going away. And I'm like, okay, something's happening, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I get on the train, I get off on the exit. I don't know anything about New York. So I get off and I take a right. I'm supposed to take a left. So now I'm like, okay, something's happening here, right? I'm like, I keep missing stuff. I finally get to, I think it was a Barney's or a Saks. I walk in, find out where the men's shoe section is. I walk up, I think it was the third floor. I got up there and the voice said, go downstairs right now. And I was like, I am about to kick whatever voice this is ass. I'm like, I just walked in the building. You just told me to come here. I said yes. And now you're saying go back out. And I'm having this argument inside my head like a crazy person, right? But I listen. I go downstairs. I get to the front door. I open the door. And as my hand is still on the doorknob. As I'm holding the door open, I hear, no. I look, and as if it was in slow motion, a woman is flying through the air. She lands on her head. Bang. Her brains splatter out the back. I literally instantly knew that's why I was there. Ran straight to her. This is Mother's Day, 2015. Her name is Amelia Sturrental. For anybody who wants to look this up, there's articles on it. I ran straight towards her. I'll never forget, she had pearls, and the pearls, half the necklace was on and half of the pearls are rolling down the street. It was like slow motion. And it was so gory and like, it's hard to look at that everybody was turning away. And I ran in, a doctor came from this side, a nurse came from this side. So there's three of us immediately on the scene. The doctor At first, I have my eyes open. The doctor's checking her. Ma'am, are you okay? The nurse grabs her hand, checks her pulse like this. And when she does like that, blood shoots out of her mouth. So I'm like, okay, my job is not to like save her. My job is the spiritual part of this. So I go down to her feet and I go into prayer and I start communing and conversating with her. And I say, ma'am, if this is the time to go, I'm with you. If this is your time to just be in peace and you're going to come back, I'm with you, but you are not alone. And I'm literally cycling through and it's like a wave of energy is hitting me. Everything is muted as if I have like on like Beats by Dre's on or something like that. So I can't hear, but it's like muffled. And her and I were just like attuning to each other. And eventually I heard the paramedics pretty far away. And there was this moment where like the energy was up and I could feel her and she could feel me and we were tuned in. And then there was a moment where my body let go, my body. And as my shoulders and body went down, I opened my eyes and she went, and then that was it. Dead. And I have so many of these stories. I'm going to stop there, but I just wanted you to, those are three different, distinctly different things. All of them are sort of big in nature, but these happen every single day. Every day, even when it's time for me to decide what content to make. It happens with my wife. I'll walk in the house and I can energetically feel something's off and the voice will say, go hug her right now. And there's a part of me that's like, well, she should hug me or X, Y, and Z. Listen, right? All of us are being guided, guarded, and protected. And the game is to make yourself available for that to speak through. It's not always a voice. Sometimes it's a body hit. Sometimes it's a sensation, right? It's a sound, but something speaking. That's my truth.
My brother, I'm hearing a lot of paying attention and observing, so that even more people are following this feeling or following this nurture within themselves, and recognizing that there is a consistent narrative that they can choose to decide to follow within themselves and trust that part of themselves.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so what was it that, because I know that you've cultivated this uh, synchronicity, but also this certainty within yourself by being able to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, it's interesting because we're so conditioned by society to say we're managing the circumstances around us versus creating that certainty from within us and being able to know that as a result of this greater being or this voice or this essence that's greater than ourselves, by paying attention and being able to observe, recognize, and see it within ourselves, we're starting to able to allow that energy of abundance to come through us.
Facts. Let me tell you. So here's what it is. I'm going to give you like cold, hard, like practical, and I'm going to give you philosophy. Philosophy first. My philosophy is I can't miss, and neither can you. There's literally no way to miss because my truth is that the universe, God, Jesus, Spirit, Buddha, Krishna, Allah, Source, Divine Intelligence, whatever you want to call it, that thing is one gigantic yes button. Hitler used the power, one power. Hitler used it. Gandhi used it. Martin Luther King used it. Eric Balance uses it. Preston Smiles uses it. The only difference is most people don't understand that. So they think there's a way for them to fail. And if they think there's a way for them to fail or mess up or miss, then they try to reconfigure their lives to win. But I believe all of life is, I'm winning right here, right now. Before I ever had, like right now, I'm in a, this is easily a $10 million property. I got the G-Wagon out there and the 1965 Corvette over there and all the things. Before I ever had any of these toys, I had it in consciousness. And even the toys and the materials, they don't mean that much to me. They're awesome. because they're a part of the, yes, they're a part of God, because there's no place where God isn't. And I don't add value to them more than anything else, period. So the trees on this property, which there's thousands of them, I treat those trees the same way I treat the car, the same way I treat this shirt, the same way I treat this watch. It's all the same, just materials that the universe produced. And so when you operate from knowing, I can't miss, when we take inventory, a lot of times what people do is they future cast, but they don't take inventory the right way, right? Watch this. Has there ever been a time, everybody listening, has there ever been a time where you couldn't eat? Has there ever been a time where you couldn't drink water? Has there ever been a time where you slept on the streets? Has there ever been a time that you haven't been able to feel your own heart? Or has your heart ever stopped? Has there ever been a time where you couldn't use your hands and your arms and your eyes? Has there ever been a time where you didn't have clothes? Like literally, I could take so much inventory of what is working. And the universe does this thing where you can't have what you want, but you may experience what you have. And so if I know that I can't miss and I am experiencing life from that space, then I get to have more of it, because the universe, God, is like electricity. Electricity never says no. You know what it says? Do you have the infrastructure to hold what you're trying to plug up? That's it. You can plug up an iPhone, you can plug up a Tesla, you can plug up a house, or you can plug up a whole country. The electricity says yes. God always says yes. But do you have the infrastructure? Have you built a somatic body that can hold everything you say you want and then some? That's my work. That's our work. Mindset is epic. It can only get you so far. At some point, you have to, 3 centers of intelligence: head, heart, gut, body, mind, and soul. We use so much of the mind. What about the body? What about the soul? Those are speaking too. The soul knows. The soul is in straight facts. It's the mind and the body that are oftentimes off. And when we're at our most powerful when all 3 are aligned. So when the body and the mind and the soul are in those sites and you pull that arrow back, there is nothing that can stop that. And our work is to do that, be aligned, congruent, threefold beings.
This is the highest state of integrity I'm hearing, is like being able to create that congruency within ourselves, brother. And it also is like, how are we then creating and leaving this world behind better than we found it? By being in that state of congruency. So maybe
Yes.
take us through that incredible embodiment of how you've been able to integrate that from the mind concept to the body to the soul, to really create that massive level of alignment so that people can get even more curious as to the ways that they could develop and harness that energy. Because I imagine that and I think that you're aware of it too. I mean, I know that you're aware of it too, is that so many people are sometimes spiritually bypassing the construct of bringing that awareness into that full bodily function, harnessing that physical energy so that they're actually implementing the action steps instead of just like hoping and praying that it comes to them. And so we have to do our parts as well. So
Yes.
I'd love for you, if you don't mind, kind of taking us through that, how that's unfolded for you, because you've done that with family, you've done that with community, you've done that with business, you've done that
Yes.
in finance, in self, empowerment, body. You've created the whole what Tony calls the pyramid of mastery. So I'd love to express that and get curious about kind of how you've integrated that.
Yes. Okay, so I'll start with this. The body is a living library that stores everything we've ever been through. Said differently, each of us is like a bathtub full with water. And the water is the unprocessed shame, trauma, guilt, those moments where we go into stress response, fight, flight, freeze, and appease. The moments where we were bullied at 13, the moment where we got dumped at 17, and instead of feeling it all the way through, we stuffed it down, we repressed it, we put it into porn, we put it into sex, we put it into eating, we put it into social media scrolling. The body is like one giant bathtub that's holding all this water, and more water's coming in because of Gaza and because of bills to be paid and the shame you feel and all the other stuff that's occurring on the planet, right? And my work is around pulling the plug, right? Swimming to the bottom, pulling that plug so that the water starts to drain. Because in real estate, they say location, location, location. And in somatic work, nervous system work, which is the work that I do, the work of the body, is the more energetic real estate we have, the more skyscrapers and compounds we can build on that. Most people are not available for their gifts, talents, and abilities because they have unprocessed, stuck trauma and shame in their bodies. And so if they could say and declare to the cows come home, I'm going to build this business. I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to call in this relationship. We see it every year come December 27th through January 13th. Everybody's declaring what's going to happen. And every year, by the time we get to February, all those things are right back to where they were. And it's because people live in patterns. They've been emotionally rehearsing the same pattern over and over and over again with stuck unprocessed trauma in their body. And so now the body doesn't even need a mind construct to grab onto. It will just find drama. It will find more pain. It will find more reasons to suffer. And so my work is about helping people move through and past some of that unprocessed stress response so that there's spaciousness in their bodies. How we do that, there's a million ways. One of them is make a list of all the people or things that you still have not forgiven. And one by one, find compassion in your heart. One by one, continuously find a way to see the blessing and the lesson in it and feel the sadness you didn't let yourself feel when your grandmother died. Feel the anger that you didn't let yourself feel when your parents got a divorce. Feel the exuberant sexual energy that you repressed because you were 17 or 14 or 15 and you didn't know what to do with it. All this stuff needs to complete itself. And so make a list of the things you haven't forgiven. Feel what you need to feel so that you can let it go. And then I have my clients do something called joy alarms. And what it essentially states is I have those clients put in 3 to 5 alarms every day. Every time the alarm goes off in their phone, they burst into spontaneous joy, reasonless joy. And they must use sound and body when they're doing it. So, oh! And they burst into this joy, and this sends a signal from the brain to the body that there's something to celebrate. Universal laws, what you appreciate appreciates. What you focus on expands. So if I'm 3 to 5 times a day, I'm celebrating for no apparent reason or a reason, then that becomes my new normal. That becomes a baseline from which I operate. The other thing would be to find one safe person on the planet and share with them your deepest, darkest secrets, something you hold shame or guilt around. Let them hold it, because it's not the load that breaks us down, but the way we carry it. And most people are trying to carry everything themselves, but it's weighing us down. They're carrying giant backpacks full of trauma and shame and guilt. And when you let somebody else hold some of that bag, it lightens the load for everybody and it dissipates, because shame wants to hide. It wants to be in the closet. That thing you did in college where you went too far and you were drinking, or X, Y, and Z, that person you hit or beat up, that store you stole from, whatever it is, let someone else hold it. And then last piece, elevation requires separation. You can't call in a big new life and keep your old BS patterns. So make a list of the things that you know won't serve where you're going. And give those things an eviction letter, even if it's your mom, even if it's your dad, even if it's your best friend. And the eviction letter is not, I hate you. It's, hey, I'm going to take a break for the next 6 months from our relationship. I love you so much. I just need space and time to go create this thing. Hey, I'll be back. Right? And you go do your thing, and you surround yourself, put yourself in environments where people are already doing what you want to do and experiencing what you want to experience. Because proximity can be actual power. You learn so much by just seeing and having mental pictures of what's possible for each of us. Yeah, that.
Bro, the proximity, I find that especially like children, when we're observing and paying attention, we're learning so much, like especially like this physiology, right? Like I keep thinking back to when we were kids, we would learn so much more by the facial
Yes.
expressions and by the way, our families, our parents, our brothers and sisters would move with their bodies than necessarily what was being said. And this is fascinating because I know that this is still the same way we continue to learn as big kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so really bringing this physiological component, like you said, of this library to allowing this unique mechanism to teach us and pay more attention to those feelings to really uncover. And so I know that, as a society, as a global, multi-generational ancestral trauma, there is an essence of this scarce mentality that we've been so predisposed to before even our times. And I believe that we are in the generation, Preston, where we're really breaking that pattern to that abundance. And I know that you really speak to this in terms of really bringing the fundamental abundance through us as being the wealth into the physical form as well, because there's an ample amount of possibilities in infinite ways in the world, and we've been also told and conditioned to think only what's not available or what's only in that box. So I'd love, from your perspective, if you don't mind, um, sharing, this importance of trusting in that passion,
Mm-hmm.
trusting in that inner being of knowing that we are abundant. And so that even more of our brothers and sisters that are out there and they feel so uncertain by the stories that are being told, that they can step into this massive, bigger picture and create bigger solutions for bigger problems in the world by really moving together and not needing to compete with each other, but instead looking at one another in spirit and collaborative efforts so that we can move towards a common reality and a responsible momentum in the way that we choose to live our lives here.
1000%, man. I'm in the middle of writing a book called Spiritual Millionaire that comes out in October, and people can pre-order the book right now. But one of the things we talk about in that book, and it's prestonsmiles.com/book. One of the things we talk about in that book is how the materials, right? The money, the abundance, it all wants to be used. What you want wants you, right? That shirt you have on, Eric, and the one I have on, when did you think you got that shirt? When did you get it? If you had to guess.
I would say 4 years.
4 years ago. So 40 years ago, that shirt was always destined for you. 50 years ago, that shirt was always destined for you. It was in a different form back then. It may have been on a tree or in a seed that was going to become a cotton tree plant, and then somebody was going to pick it. And then, but the whole process, that particular cotton was always yours. Now, check this. Let's say that all of us are in the same room right now, and we look down, and there's some cookies that have dropped on the ground. And on the other side of the room, we see an ant that has picked up and sensed that there's something for it to eat. To the ant, the cookies are in the future. But to us, all of us sitting in the same room, where is the ant? Where's the cookie?
On the ground.
Yes.
In the present.
In the now. There we go. In the present moment. The reason why we know that is because we've taken the perspective of God.
Mm. Mm.
Now let that land for whatever you desire right now. You sense something. All of you. Everybody senses something. It's whether it's a better relationship, a more fulfilling sex life, a business that wants to be birthed, a scaling of a business, a deeper connection with a parent, a trip. You sense something, and that sensing of the thing is the cookie. It exists right here, right now. This house that we're in, 4 acres, 3 different houses on this property. When they built this house in 2005, they didn't know they were building it for me too. But I sensed it back then. I couldn't see it. But we can see it when we take the perspective of God. We can see it when we know that we can't miss. We can see it when we understand that what we want wants us. That shirt needed you just as much as you needed it. Look how much shine and love that shirt gets today. Look at those beautiful paintings and all the things that get to be imbued, right? Expressed and experienced. Because you said yes, Eric. All of it is a divine mandate. All of it is a dance. All of it is us playing a sacred game of pickleball or tennis where we just, and we hit the ball over, and we hit the ball over, and we experience life together. Life, all of life, not just humans, all of life, everything on the planet wants to play together. And so our work as a spiritual community is to say, yes, oof, I sense it. Yes, the cookies are here. I can't see the cookies, but I sense them. And if I sense them and take the perspective of God, I know it's done, right? The car you drive, the house you live in, all of it was always meant for you to steward it, to play with it. Can't take any of it with us. And so while we're here, we don't deify the cookie. We don't make the house or the cookie or the shirt. We don't make it our God. We just say, this is more God doing God things, and we embrace it. So you guys want to understand how I became so fucking rich? It's this. I don't make any of it better than anything else. I literally understand the laws of the universe. Everything is circulating. It is all circulating, and it wants to circulate. So how about this? The universe, God, is like electricity. It never says no. It just says, do you have the infrastructure? Okay, well, what is the infrastructure? Clear my trauma, clear my shame, clear all the stuff that no longer serves, so I have energetic real estate. From that place, while I'm in that process, I say yes to money. I say yes to success. I say yes to all of it because it is a part of, right? It's not about the money in particular. It's about the experience. And while I'm calling it in, because you cannot, go back to the ant. The ant, no matter what, if the ant's taking the journey, it can take the journey from an unhappy place where it's angry and it's sad and things aren't working out, and I need to prove to everybody that used to bully me in high school, and I need to prove that I'm better than my dad. That ant can take the same journey from a beautiful, interesting, curious, abundant place, or it could take the journey from an unhappy, lack, limitation, and scarcity place. The electricity is just going to say yes. God is going to say yes. It will not intervene. It will say, got it. That's how you want to do this? But an unhappy journey will never produce a happy ending, ever. So you're going to ride the wave. The question is, are you going to ride it from love? Are you going to ride it from exuberant energy? Are you going to ride it from understanding that we've been marketed to? It's a fucking marketing ploy to make us believe in lack, limitation, and scarcity. Again, do the inventory. Have you slept on the streets? And even if you did, are you still on them? Was it comfortable? Did you have a tent? Because that would be winning. Winning is perspective. Tombstone or stepping stone, tombstone or stepping stone, prison or paradise, prison or paradise in any given moment, any given moment. Like, hear this, guys, hear this. Beautiful souls. In any given moment, you get to choose prison or paradise. You can take the same life and nothing shift, nothing on the outside shifts, everything on the inside shifts, and you see and experience paradise right where you are from your parents' house, right? With whatever's in your bank account. And guess what? When you are attuned to that frequency and vibration, that frequency and vibration must match itself. And what you will get is a snowball effect of more of that. Again, I was a surf instructor 11 years ago. I'm now a multimillionaire, not just in money, but in consciousness. This is what I figured out. I loved teaching surf lessons. I didn't hate it. I didn't say I'm broke and poor and this is terrible. I said, God, if this is how you're using me today, let's freaking go. That.
Brother, I love and appreciate you, man. This passion is exactly, this expression is exactly what even more of us can step into fully. And what I love, my brother, is that there is such an essence of truth that comes from you where you're encouraging others to step up. Tombstone or stepping stone, right? This prison or paradise, this choice of recognizing that heaven is here within us now. And we get to walk these beautiful streets of paradise by embodying and building the infrastructure that's available for our future generations. So they wake up in the moment of presence and they see that, wow, my mom and dad built heaven on earth and we get to do this together and play in the playground that we call our beautiful Mother Earth.
Yes. All of yes. Yes.
Brother, I really acknowledge and thank you. I know that we have a few minutes left here, and I just want to really value and acknowledge the time. I want to recognize the time that we have. If there is any way that people want to find out more information about how they can be a part of what you're doing with the body, with the mind, with the spirit, integrate that within their businesses, what is the best way to connect with you, your wife, what you guys are developing in terms of workshops, projects? Where's the best place to connect with you?
So either at Preston Smiles on Instagram, and then you can click on the link tree and all that stuff from there, or go to prestonsmiles.com. And from there, you can find the book, you can find the workshops, you can find it all.
Cool. And last question that I'd love to get curious about. You know, I know that you have an amazing relationship with your family. And, you know, how many kids do you have now?
4.
Amazing. Rich man. In so many ways, like you said. So tell me, brother, if you had 3 days left to live, what would you be doing?
Easy peasy. One, I'd be double checking quickly. Not myself, I'd have someone else do it, that all my stuff and money and businesses are transferred to my wife and my kids. That's one. 2, I'd be adventuring with them. I'd spend time with my people, my babies, my mom, my sister, my wife. I'd make some videos. I'd spend a few hours, probably every day of those 3 days, making videos specifically to them about how to operate as a beneficial presence to the planet. Like, and probably last but not least, I'd probably do an open letter to humanity, just as my hurrah. Yeah.
Brother, thank you so much for this amazing time and contribution of your energy and presence and wisdom. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And I'm really grateful that we get to connect deeper, that more people get to hear about what you're up to and just the pureness of the way that you show up, man. It's so evident and so real. And like you said, bro, you're I would say a multi-billionaire in terms of consciousness, and so I just want to acknowledge that with a huge grace and space. So thank you for you, bro.
Yes. Appreciate you. Love you all. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate the space. And everybody go get Spiritual Millionaire. PrestonSmiles.com/book.
Yeah. Don't go anywhere.
Yep. There we go.